Hey, what is going on, everybody? So today we're going to be doing another roster review, and this time it's going to be for Commander Smitty, who requested this one. In terms of his roster focus, it seems that he does have a Dark Dimension 3 priority and working on characters to expand after that. So that's what I'll be taking a look at with regards to who he has leveled and he doesn't. And as always, if anyone watching this is looking for a roster review of their own, please hit me up via Discord, as that's the easiest place to find me. I hope that this roster review might help any of you guys who might be in a similar boat, or at least similar days played and TCP, if you're looking for some extra ideas for your own teams. But anyways, without further ado, let's get this review started. Alright, so this is Smitty's profile page here. He's got Ebony Maw unlocked and looks like a Black Order Arena team underway, which is great. TCP roughly around 5.7 million, and this is at 635 days played, and I believe this is with very minimal offer purchases, so not exactly free to play, but not far from that either. So this looks pretty solid so far, and I imagine with some investment, some further investment rather, into the Black Order, he'll be racking up some of those kills, but that's not what we came here to take a look at exactly. So let's take a look at the roster photos. So this is the first one here, and let's zoom in this a little bit so that we can see it a little bit better. There we go. So it looks like from the top, so we do have a tier 14 Thanos, Symbiote Spider-Man, Phoenix, Minerva, and Hela, Captain America. So this is an interesting choice here. Not exactly the choice that I would go for necessarily for Dark Dimension 3. But if anyone's been following the Dark Dimension 4 progress, apparently Captain America and Black Widow are quite popular choices for global Dark Dimension 4. So I don't know if there's any merit to this necessarily, but since he's at tier 14, you know, that might be something that you want to consider going down and taking it a bit further at this point. We do have a Black Bolt at tier 13. So as far as I'm aware, that Smitty is almost through global Dark Dimension 3. So I see Captain America, Phoenix, I don't know how many characters he's running necessarily at the tier 14 level. Those are the only characters I see, so I don't know if he's just running Captain America and Phoenix for the global lane, but I guess if he's almost done, then he's going to need to start considering for the Cosmic, which it does have decent stuff here. So Thanos, Minerva, and Hela for Dark Dimension 3 Cosmic lane, which is actually pretty good. Probably another fourth character, possibly Proxima Midnight, if you're wanting to continue on with the Black Order, leveling them up as well. Proxima might actually be a decent choice. Obviously Ebony Maw, which you do have somewhere, just not on the top, it looks like, unless I haven't got there yet. So anyways, just scrolling through this, I believe this is filtered by red stars. I normally do ask people to filter by red stars, just to see what kind of red stars we're dealing with in terms of gearing characters up. So I see an anti-venom at 5 yellow, 5 red. This is really impressive, actually. So I think at some point you're going to want to take anti-venom to tier 14. It'll be really good for raids as well, but also for Dark Dimension City. Not necessarily the first round, but possibly for the second round, which would be pretty easy. I do see Symbiote Spider-Man, but I don't see Carnage yet, so Carnage is going to be a character that you're going to want to consider alongside Symbiote Spider-Man for Dark Dimension 3 City. I do see a Ghost here who is 5 yellow, 5 red. That's also pretty impressive. I would consider building up Ghost for your second round of Dark Dimension 3, both for the first 8 nodes, really, the first 4, and then obviously the 4 global nodes. I think Ghost will be very impactful there, and she's very helpful, so I would definitely recommend bringing Ghost up to tier 14 plus. And of course, she's a great character to think if you're thinking about Dark Dimension 4 down the line. You know, you want to build up as many characters in Dark Dimension 3 that you're going to carry over into level 80, tier 15, and then into Dark Dimension 4, so that way you can get the best bang for your buck by kind of leveling up the characters that you're going to want to use for both game modes, or both Dark Dimension levels, I suppose you could say. So I do see a 6 red Proxima, so this is exactly why I would suggest maybe bringing up Proxima. Not only that, is that she's also a skill character, so she's someone that you're going to be able to gear up a little bit easier, because there's only a handful of really good skill characters, and that's Proxima. Some people level up Taskmaster, I do see him here. Baron Zemo is another one that people kind of put gear into, and obviously Corvus Glaive, who is also skill. But in terms of priority, Proxima is way better than Corvus in terms of usefulness in Dark Dimension 3 and beyond. So definitely something to keep an eye out there. In terms of post-Dark Dimension 3, obviously Scream, you know, all the symbiotes really deserve to be geared up, and it looks like you have some really good red stars for your symbiotes, and I'm kind of jealous here. You got 7 red Scream. Now, I don't know if you pulled this, maybe add that in the comments below. Let me know if you pulled that or not, or if you bought that. Scream 7, Anti-Venom 5, Symbiote Spider-Man 6. We haven't got to Carnage or Venom yet, but so far so good. I mean, you have a good slate of red stars, so I'm kind of jealous there. Looking at what else you have here, nothing that I I think pops out immediately for me. So definitely of this sort of page here, I would definitely consider Proxima, Ghost, Anti-Venom at some point as well, and Scream later on, but not really an immediate priority, probably after you've cleared Dark Dimension 3, at least for the first time. And since she is bio, I would actually consider Cull Obsidian. I think you're going to get the most progression out of your Arena Black Order team. So typically after the first run, I would normally try putting in the gear that you do have to try and maximize your Black Order into tier 14. That way you can get as high as you possibly can in Arena, which then gets you more power cores, and that kind of gives you a lot of flexibility in what you can do with those power cores in terms of your game progression. So keep that in mind as well. Now, scrolling down the list a little bit more, we do have some decent 5 red stars as well. I mean, you have 6 on Taskmaster, that's pretty good. And now that he's farmable, if you can get him there in Do More Chapter 3 eventually, I could see this be pretty interesting too. Falcon 5, no, there we go. So Ebony Maw is tier 14, so I should have scrolled down further. I forgot that it's filtered by red stars, so we do have Ebony Maw, so that means scrolling back up, and we have Colossus as well. So my question to you actually would be, why do you have Colossus and Captain America at tier 14? Because I don't think you need both of them. It's kind of weird to have 2 tanks, personally. I could see it from an ability energy perspective, but I think it's kind of weird. Feel free to let me know either by DM or you know, in the comments why you decided to do that necessarily. I wouldn't recommend multiple tanks for the same lane really for Dark Dimension. We do have Ebony Maw though, which is great. So we have Ebony Maw tier 14, Thanos tier 14. That's both really good, and with Hela and Minerva, I think that's a perfect storm for a good set of characters. Now, if you threw Proxima on top of that, if you need a 5th member, then that would be even better, and obviously Black Order as well. So that'd be 5 characters there, and we do have Carnage at 13, so not quite a 14. I would focus on building Carnage to 14, that way when you get to the city lane after you beat Cosmic, you will have Symbiote Spider-Man and Carnage, and frankly, you can beat Dark Dimension 3 City with just Symbiote Spider-Man and Carnage. I think you can do it with just Symbiote Spider-Man, but it'll take you a lot longer. But if you do have Symbiote Spider-Man and Carnage, that's sufficient really to get through the whole thing. I cleared it actually with just the 2 of them, and in the second time around, I ended up bringing Venom in, and that was all I needed. So scrolling down, I do see Venom. I think that's tier 12, so he is a little bit further back. In terms of your priority, you might be able to go Anti-Venom. I still believe that Venom is the better tried and true third person for the symbiotes for Dark Dimension 3 City, but because you already have Anti-Venom at 13, I think it might be at this point, and 5 red stars actually, so you have a pretty good power level for him. I think at this point it might be better to just take him as your 3rd member, perhaps for the second run, or for your first run, but I would still probably do Carnage over Anti-Venom for the first run if you can manage both of them, which I kind of doubt, you know, but if you can, I would go Carnage and then Anti-Venom, and then you probably don't need Venom for the second round, but if you do have extra gear for bio after your Black Order, then definitely consider Venom as well. Now I see an Emma Frost tier 13 as well. You got a lot of really good characters actually here. So Emma Frost tier 13, whether or not you're going to want to use her for global for the second round, that's entirely up to you. I still see Black Widow at tier 13, so I don't know if you're like prepping sort of from the way that the other Dark Dimension 4 runners were using Captain America and Black Widow combination. I'm not too sure. That's not something I do personally, but I'm just wondering why they're so high up, unless you just really like the Wave 1 Avengers. Emma Frost is another character that you could consider for your Dark Dimension global run, but I do see Colossus already. So Colossus, I think you have quite a few. Colossus, Phoenix, Cap. I mean, maybe only 3. Maybe it's just 3 global characters. But you do want to bring a Ghost, so I would consider maybe Ghost and Emma Frost. You could consider something like that, and that'll work just fine. Now, scrolling down, looks like that's basically all of my suggestions on this first page here. Don't think there's really any others that I would recommend. Now, just to recap here, so Emma Frost is a good character, Venom is a good character, possibly for your second runs in Dark Dimension. Carnage, do now, and then Ghost, second run. Proxima, you could do in your first run if you do have enough skill gear. Otherwise, you could wait until your second run, and then Anti-Venom and Scream down the line. So those are my recommendations for characters from this first page here. Otherwise, it looks pretty good so far. Let's jump onto the second page, see what kind of things we have to deal with here. And we do have Invisible Woman at tier 12. We have Cull Obsidian. Okay, so Cull Obsidian is sitting at tier 12. I would put some more levels into him in general, because you're going to want to build him up as high as you can for your Black Order team. Cull Obsidian is a really important member. I would say after Thanos Thanos and Ebony Maw, Call Obsidian is probably the third most important character to gear. So, that being said, I would try and put some more gear into him. Probably try and get him to gear 13, level 70 if you can. Prep him for your completion of your first run. And if you can bring your full Black Order team actually into Dark Dimension 3 Cosmic Round 2, it makes it significantly easier. I do have a lot of footage of actually just using my Black Order team in Cosmic, and they really wreck through it. They do a lot of damage, and it's a lot of fun to use them anyways. And you're going to want to build them up for your arena team. Black Order is the premier arena team, and honestly I don't see anyone replacing them for some time. I don't even see Dr. Doom necessarily replacing him, so this is going to be something that you're going to want to focus on for a little while. So definitely build up Call Obsidian. Was Corvus on the first page? I don't really remember. No, I didn't see him at all, so I don't know where Corvus is sitting at. We'll probably find him, I would expect, at some point. Baron Zemo, he's sitting here at gear tier 12 now. Looks like you have quite a few options for your global already, so I wouldn't necessarily bring him in. I did for my global, but that was only because I didn't have other skill characters to bring in at the time. I also really liked Baron Zemo as a character, but not necessarily someone you need to bring in for global Dark Dimension. Going down here a little bit more. Actually, yeah, okay, so things looks good so far. So now we're getting into the 3 red stars. So here's Corvus Glaive. Unfortunately, he is at 3 red stars, but it looks like you almost have him at 7 yellow. So again, another character that you're going to want to consider building up after Proxima Midnight. I would go Proxima and Call Obsidian, then Corvus Glaive is probably your last priority, given your red stars, but he is still an important member of the Black Order, so don't discount him quite yet. And I would make sure that you gear him up and get those levels up as well in time. I do see a Mr. Sinister. Unfortunately, he's only 4 yellow, 3 red, so I wouldn't say he's a huge priority at the moment. He is obviously a really, really good character, so I would consider investing in him down the line. But right at the moment, same with your Strife. It doesn't seem like you really had too many good red stars on your Marauders, which is a bit unfortunate. So I would maybe just focus on Emma Frost at the moment, since you already do have her at tier 13, and you can use her. She is a great standalone character as well, so you can consider using her down into Dark Dimension 3 and Dark Dimension 4. Now, we're kind of getting into the 3 reds. I would normally recommend 4 red or higher for characters that you want to take into Dark Dimension 3 where possible, unless they're super meta characters. Then, you know, obviously there's nothing you can do about it red star wise, but I would consider taking those meta characters up to 4+ with promotion credits or whatever you can do for that. But it doesn't look like there's any Dark Dimension related characters here in your 3 stars other than Corvus Glaive. I wouldn't consider him necessarily a Dark Dimension character, but after your first run you'll want to consider putting some skill gear into him just to bump his tier up so that you can use him better in your arena. And I think that's it for the second page. Let's go to the final page here. Let's see if there's anything that I'm missing. 3 reds and below. Yo-Yo, Yellow Jacket. Nothing really of huge significance, I don't think, here. Let's see, what do you have and what you don't have. So that's a nice 5 red beast though, which maybe you'll activate at some point for the Astonishing X-Men, or maybe just for other X-Men usage, possibly. And I don't see anything other crazy stuff here. We do have an Ultron tier 14, actually, so I missed that one, I forgot, because he doesn't have any red stars. So going back then, so we do actually have Colossus, Ultron, Captain America, Phoenix. Am I missing anyone? I think that's the 4 global Dark Dimension characters, so that's interesting. That was a lot of tech gear. You might have done that before Ghost came out. It probably would have been better used in Ghost, but I guess it's a bit too late now. So in terms of a 5th character slot, I would still consider getting Ghost. And actually, it's totally okay to have 6 characters for Dark Dimension Global, because you can always revive Phoenix and use her with another character just to get that extra Dark Phoenix special. So I would still probably recommend getting Ghost for your second run, and probably Emma Frost you might want to consider as well. And since you do have Ultron, I don't really know how good your gear is sitting at for tech, so Ghost I believe does require 4 sets of mini uniques, so you'll have to take that into consideration with your tech gear. Now looking at the bottom of your list here, these are the new patch characters anyways here. I don't think I really missed anything. I don't think there's anything worth building other than what I mentioned at this time. So back onto we'll recap here. So nothing really immediately on this 3rd page here. We'll go back the way again. I think this page is largely fine. 2nd page here, Sinister, you want to consider him down the line. Corvus Glaive, consider upgrading his gear after the first run of Dark Dimension 3. And then we got some stuff up here. Baron's Zemo, maybe you might want to do something with. That's up to you. Cull Obsidian, definitely, because he's part of that Black Order Black Order team. And then back up to the first page, where this is where most of the gear that you need to put into. So Venom, consider that after the first run. Emma Frost, Carnage, and Ghost, Proxima Midnight, Scream, more into Anti-Venom. And totally up to you if you want to do Black Bolt tier 14 or not. I do think he's a really solid character anyways, not just for Dark Dimension, but just well-rounded for the game. So if you do have some extra bio gear, this is the problem because it's a huge bio crunch here. So there's Black Bolt, Anti-Venom, Scream, and Cull Obsidian from the previous page, which I did recommend for tier 14, but unfortunately they all are bio. So in terms of priority, I would get an extra symbiote for your Dark Dimension City runs, so probably Anti-Venom for you. You could do Venom, but I do believe at this point probably Anti-Venom is your better bet. I think Scream actually isn't too hard to gear up either. I believe she only requires 2 sets of mini uniques if I'm not mistaken, so she's actually pretty easy to gear. And then obviously you'll want to consider Cull Obsidian because you really want to bump up that Black Order as much as you can, especially on the back of Dark Dimension 3, where you're going to get a lot of gear to build that team up, because you're going to want to use this team. This team here, Black Order, is the premier arena team, which you're going to be using for the main majority of the game for now. Maybe at least another 3, 4, or 5 months I would expect, and even then I don't even know who is going to beat them. I don't know if Dr. Doom is necessarily going to beat Black Order, and what kind of combination with Dr. Doom you're going to need in order to beat Black Order in the arena, because they're just that powerful, really, that I see them being strong for some time to come. I don't know who it's gonna take to counter them. So that's the end of this roster review here. I hope that some of that helped. If you wanted to hear a little bit more, then feel free to get at me via Discord. Send me a direct message, and hopefully I can help you out there a little bit better if this wasn't enough. Anyways, that's all for me for today, guys, and until next time, stay safe, and I'll see y'all later. Boylon signing out.